It is said that in a mysterious cave in the jungle, a dangerous monster is hiding, with a hunched body and a terrifying face. It particularly preys on children. Every child who falls into its clutches meets a painful end. However, there are some people who neither fear nor believe in such tales, and venture into the cave to uncover the truth. These people entered the dreadful cave in search of the so-called Bagman. As they looked back, a tree behind them fell to the ground. But Patrick wasn't scared. Instead, he happily moved forward, despite his friend trying to stop him. As Patrick stepped ahead, strange sounds began to emerge from the dark cave. But even then, Patrick ignored them and continued clearing the path for his friend. However, during this time, something happened to Patrick that startled him. The Bagman did not take his life, but only took his hat. Decades passed by in the blink of an eye. Patrick had grown up, become a husband, and even had a child. He had forgotten that terrifying incident from his childhood. His family was living a happy life. But one night, while Patrick was packing up some items, the lights at the door started flickering suddenly, and strange noises came from behind. He wondered who could be wandering near the house so late at night. Grabbing a flashlight, he went to check but found no one in the jungle. Instead, he saw a terrifying mutant rat. Scared, Patrick ran away and found solace in the backyard. He thought everything would end after the night, but it was just the beginning. The next day when Patrick went to work, his wife was working on her laptop, and their son was playing alone in the yard. But while he was swinging on the swing, suddenly the boy sees someone far away, a child gesturing at him, leading him toward the forest. Without thinking, Jack follows the child. As he ventures deeper into the forest, he sees the child again, but doesn't realize that the child is actually the Bagman. Fortunately, his mother arrives just in time, and Jack narrowly escapes. Although the boy was safe, the mother found it strange. How could a child end up alone in a forest where no one lives? She narrated the entire day's events to her husband. Recalling the incident from the previous night and the thought of almost losing his son, Patrick grew increasingly anxious. The fear of incidents from his childhood involving the Bagman began to haunt him. He suspected that the Bagman was targeting his son. Just then, he heard his son's voice from the adjacent room as if he was talking to someone. When Patrick went to check, no one was in the room, but his son was talking outside the window. Patrick opened the window and realized something was wrong in the house. He inspected the room, shut the window, but soon heard strange noises coming from outside again. His wife also woke up and was alarmed after hearing this. She picked up the child in her arms. Patrick grabbed a baseball bat and went outside. But after searching thoroughly, he found no one. Instead, the strange noises continued echoing in his ears, leaving both husband and wife terrified. The next morning, they called the police. Even after searching the forest, the police found no clues. Frustrated, the couple tried to rest peacefully with their child. However, the mysterious events of the day left Patrick unable to sleep. He went downstairs and activated the house alarm system. But as soon as he saw it, he found that the storeroom outside the door was open. Patrick, suspicious, went there and found a strange toy with the same hat that Bagman had taken from him in his childhood inside the cave. Patrick now understood everything, that everything that happened the previous night was all Bagman's doing. Thinking this, he quickly returned to the room, but the door was already locked and wouldn't open. He tried to go another way, but it was also shut. Left with no choice, he had to crawl through the gap under the door to unlock it. But suddenly he realized that Bagman had already entered the house. Patrick punched the glass on the door, broke it, and quickly got inside. At that moment, he guessed that Bagman might be targeting his wife. He immediately ran upstairs, but both his wife and child were safe. However, there was no trace of Bagman. Patrick searched the entire room but found no sign of the terrifying creature. His wife, though, saw him searching for something late at night and thought he had gone mad. The very next morning, something strange happened to his wife as well. While Jack was playing, he suddenly brought a gift to his mother. When Karina opened it, she found two bizarre pictures inside. One showed a scene from Patrick's childhood when he was in the cave, and the other was of Karina herself, seemingly taken from inside a pipe. Seeing this, Karina felt uneasy and immediately went to check the pipe. Meanwhile, Patrick woke up in fear, taking a deep breath of relief. Even though it was just a dream, it felt so real to him, as if that terrifying Bagman was always lurking around him. The next morning, Patrick and his wife visited a sage to seek a solution to their problem. The sage told them about a creature called Bagman, a demon that captures children, and once a child is targeted, they cannot escape. The only solution, he said, was to leave their house immediately, which might save them. Hearing this, the couple wasted no time and sent their son Jack to their friend Anna's house, while they began searching for a new home. They thought they were safe now, but Bagman was so ruthless that changing homes made no difference to him. As soon as Anna returned home, she heard strange noises on the camera and sensed that Jack was in danger. She rushed to check on him. When she reached the hallway, the lights above started flickering and then went out entirely. Anna stood there, terrified. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and the lock began to turn slowly. Realizing that Bagman had entered her house, Anna knew there was no way out. If she had been in Patrick's apartment, she might have been able to escape. But escaping from here was impossible. In desperation, she grabbed a knife, picked up Jack, and hid in a wardrobe before Bagman could reach them. By the time Patrick and his wife arrived, the police had surrounded the area. Anna had deep injuries on her face, but fortunately, the security guard had intervened in time and prevented Bagman from capturing Jack. However, the incident left Anna mentally shaken. Patrick and his wife brought her to their home, and the police stationed a guard for Jack's safety. But as Patrick was monitoring his son on the screen, Bagman once again entered the house, plunging it into darkness. Patrick panicked, ran towards his son's room. Upon reaching there, he saw that the guard was dead. This terrified Patrick greatly. Then he saw Bagman walking away with a sack containing his son's belongings. This scene enraged Patrick, and he pursued Bagman with all his might. The chase eventually led him to the terrifying cave from his childhood. Patrick began searching inside the cave, and following the sound of his son's voice, arrived at a pit where items belonging to lost children were scattered. There he found a strange bag and thought his son might be inside it. Trembling, he unzipped the bag, but his son was not inside. At that moment, Patrick realized he had fallen into Bagman's trap. In reality, his son had not been captured at all, and the cries for help he had heard were coming from a toy. Bagman had orchestrated all this to kill Patrick. Earlier, he had taken some strands of Patrick's hair from his hat, which created enmity between the two. Using those hairs, Bagman could always track Patrick's location, no matter how far he was. But why hadn't Bagman killed Patrick earlier? It was because, as a child, Patrick had gone to this cave, and his father had found out about it. Knowing Bagman had targeted his son, his father had given young Patrick a knife blessed by God. However, years later, due to the pressures of work, Patrick accidentally broke the knife, giving Bagman the opportunity he had been waiting for. While Patrick was distracted, Bagman attacked him from behind, drugged him to render him unconscious, and easily carried him away, throwing him far off. Patrick groaned in pain, writhing from his injuries, and Bagman slowly came out. He opened the bag and planned to put Patrick inside and chop him into pieces. At this critical moment, Patrick gathered all his strength, reached for a knife, and stabbed it into Bagman's neck. After killing Bagman, Patrick dragged his exhausted body and started moving towards the door. But the door was just a few steps away when, in the very next moment, Bagman returned and grabbed him with one hand. Patrick struggled to save his life. In the scuffle, Patrick knocked off Bagman's hat, revealing his pale face and visible skull. Bagman, with a slight effort, picked up Patrick and put him into the bag. The sound of breaking bones echoed, and Patrick's painful screams filled the air. Eventually, Patrick became Bagman's victim. Later, Patrick's wife came looking for him with the police. Despite searching everywhere, all they found was his flute. Patrick had hoped that the flute would provide a clue to his wife, indicating who the killer was if he never returned. When his wife saw this, she realized that Bagman had killed her husband. Despite being shattered by the pain, she had to live on with her son. But later one day, he saw that the same flute was in his son's hands. This meant that the Bagmans still hadn't stopped following them. So guys, what do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments section.